Hey everybody, it's Fabs here from Sports Illustrated, and I'm in the Christmas spirit, as you can tell. And Jen Piacenti and I are here to give you the gift of a fantasy football playoff win. And to help you with that, we've got to look at the waiver wire and see what players are out there. I will tell you this, Jen, it's a bit thin out there right now going into week 16, but at the quarterback position, you do like Kenny Pickett.
I do like Kenny Pickett, and I know that there are some people that may be in a bit of a desperate spot this week, especially with the news that Jalen Hurts could miss this weekend's games, and he's someone that probably got you here. Kenny Pickett is someone you could consider because the Raiders have allowed the 8th most points to quarterbacks this season for fantasy football leagues. He's had 190 or more passing yards in 4 of his last 5 games, and he's also carried the ball 6 or more times in 4 of his last 5. Next week, he's got Baltimore too, so it's possible you could keep him around. Also, I like Brock Purdy, who we featured last week, and get this, hold on to your seats, Michael Fabiano. Russ Wilson, who in week 17 has a rematch with the Kansas City Chiefs, who he really tore up just a couple weeks ago.
And Gardner Minshew, the mustache. I mean, he's not the worst backup quarterback in the world, right? So if you're desperate, you can maybe go there this week. Hopefully you don't have to. At running back, we had a little bit of a Cole in our Jonathan Taylor stocking last week with the high ankle sprain. He's going to be out. Who do we pick up to replace him?
Well, the obvious choice right away is Zack Moss, who carried the ball 24 times for 81 yards on Sunday. Now, he also out-snapped Deion Jackson in the second half, 31-9. So if you're wondering who to pick up, it's probably Moss. The Chargers have allowed 5.52 yards per carry this season. That's the most in the league. And next week, he gets the New York Giants, who have allowed the 3rd most yards per carry this year. So it's an excellent fantasy matchup for the final 2 weeks. If you like Deion Jackson, he could also be available. He had 55 yards on 13 carries, and he caught a touchdown pass. We've seen Jackson be successful before in replacement of Jonathan Taylor. But if I'm picking one, I'm going to go Moss.
Chuba Hubbard could be out there as well. And Travis Etienne got a little bit banged up, so maybe JaMycal Hasty. Of course, that game is earlier in the week. Moving on to the wide receivers, and a guy that we told a lot of people to play last week. His numbers weren't great. They were okay. But Houston has a problem at wide receiver, and suddenly Chris Moore has value.
Yeah, Chris Moore's seen 19 targets across the past 2 weeks with no Brandon Cooks and no Nico Collins. And let's face it, there's no reason for them to rush any of those 2 guys back. They're a last-place team. Titans have allowed a league-leading 42 points per game to opposing wide receivers. In week 17, he gets the Jaguars. They've allowed 35.6 points per game across the last 7 games. Chris Moore is 80% available. Of course, those fantasy points I'm talking about are for PPR leagues. So PPR leagues, when you see those targets, that's a guy you want to grab.
Demarcus Robinson, also worth a look. And how about Marquise Goodwin? No Tyler Lockett, and they got Kansas City this week. That's a really good matchup for the Seahawks wide receivers. Moving on to the tight ends. And you know it's going to happen. I'm getting chiggy with it, Jen. Let's talk about the Titans tight end.
Guys, I tried to talk him out of it, but he wouldn't listen. He's
I had to do it. I can't hold myself back.
We love Chig. Look, he's had 30 or more yards in each of his last 7 games. His 5 targets on Sunday led the team. His 2.63 yards per route run are the best in the NFL amongst tight ends that have run at least 50 routes. And guess what? Next week he gets Houston, and we know that's always an upgrade for any skilled position player at any position. Okay, maybe not wide receivers. They're a little tough versus quarterbacks and wide receivers, but tight ends and running backs can do well versus Houston. So we like him. We're getting chiggy with it.
Well done. Do keep tabs on the status of Ryan Tannehill, though. If he doesn't play, maybe we're not getting chiggy with it. We'll see. Juwan Johnson had 2 touchdowns last week. Robert Tonyan's got a good matchup this week for the Packers. All right, that's all for your top waiver wire ads for week 16. I mean, we're in the second week of the fantasy playoffs, folks. If you've made it this far, congratulations. And make sure you keep up with all the latest news and fantasy advice at Sports Illustrated. And make sure you're hitting our YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button, and happy holidays, folks.